beautiful Hollywood, California, talking to James and Serena. They have a lot of Star Wars action figures, Star Wars Legos, Star Wars merchandise everywhere. James, Serena, if you will, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Jaime Pelayo, aka @JamesOnSunset on Instagram, and this is...
I'm Serena Pelayo.
Your daughter.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. So let's kind of jump right into it with your Star Wars collection. What type of items are you collecting? Are they action figures? Are they vehicles, helmets, lightsabers, comics? What is it that appeals to you?
So, all of the above. All of the above. Been collecting for quite a while. It's been over 40 years.
Wow.
Myself. And Serena's been collecting for about a year.
Here.
Wow. And your collection, is there a particular scale that you're trying to stick with? Or is it range from the small 3 3/4 all the way up to the big 5 foot tall ones, or what?
For me personally, I've always liked the action figures, the 3 3/4 inch action figures. It's always been my goal to complete my collection. I probably have about 80 of them right now, so I have about 20 something more to go. And then I do have some of the bigger spaceships from that era as well that I collected. And since then, I managed to pick up a few pieces here and there. And then, at some point, I was able to share that with my daughter. That's kind of changed the trajectory of our collection a bit to include more of the newer Mandalorian pieces.
Interesting. And is there a particular series or a story or a particular movie that you really enjoy? And Serena, which one really do you like?
I'm a fan of the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, okay. What about the Mandalorian? Any of the particular characters? Baby Yoda?
I like Baby Yoda.
Yes, yes. Any other characters in there? There's the big girl with the muscles. What's her name?
Cara Dune.
Cara Dune. What do you think?
Well, I guess.
Yeah. And then there's also the lady that has the horns or the hair that comes out.
Oh, yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, what's her name again?
I don't know who
Do you know? Orange. It's got like the helmet kind of on, and then the hair comes out in those kind of cones or whatever.
We have her.
Oh, Ahsoka.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. And James, any particular series that you yourself are interested in?
Well, I really do love The Mandalorian. I think they did a great job, and I'm glad that was an entree for her to become interested in it, because she didn't like Star Wars as much before that. She had never seen the movies before The Mandalorian.
Really?
And so I had always loved the original trilogy, especially Empire Strikes Back, because that's around the time when I got into Star Wars, at the age of 7. And so those 3 movies, I think, are real masterpieces, and there's just something so authentic and raw about them, and visceral. It just really just opened up a whole new world. Had my imagination go wild and crazy to be exposed to that, and to become a part of that world, or through these various toys and action figures.
And then speaking about the stuff that's behind you right now, I'm seeing a lot of Mandalorian action figure related items behind you, including some Lego items. Talk to me a little bit about the Lego items. Who decides to buy those? Who decides to put those together?
The inspiration for Legos actually came from you, Josh, because you had bought a Lego and you said, "Oh, look at these Star Wars Legos, they're actually pretty cool." And I thought, maybe I'll buy myself some Star Wars Legos too. And then I bought a couple of them, and then started building them with Serena. She was maybe 4 years old at the time, so she couldn't really put them together, so we kind of worked on them together, and she really enjoyed playing with them or wanting to play with them. And because that brought us together, building these Star Wars Legos, I started buying more of these Star Wars Legos.
Dad and daughter.
And building a larger collection of them. And then at some point she realized that there were princess Legos too, Disney princess Legos, so she didn't want any more Star Wars Legos. So we started getting more Disney princess Legos, but I kept up with the Star Wars Legos.
And you've got some stuff on the mantle back there. What is some of that?
So we have some of the Mandalorian pieces up here, the AT-AT for the Mandalorian, the Slave One, or Boba Fett's starship or spaceship as they call it in the Lego version, the Razor Crest, a Boba Fett helmet Lego, and of course the Grogu Baby Yoda Lego there. And those are just fun pieces. A lot of these Legos I just don't have time to put together and build, so they stay in the boxes. But these, because we both enjoy Mandalorian so much, we actually did build them together and wanted to display them in the home.
Do you have a number of Lego items that are still in boxes?
Yes, I do quite a few. Yeah, I've lost count, so it's a lot. I really focus on collecting the Star Wars Legos from the original 3 films. There's only a few other ones that I bought that are not part of the original trilogy that might have been interesting for me. But whenever there's something from the original trilogy, I like to pick it up. And then of course there's the Mandalorian Legos that we've also collected because we like the Mandalorian so much. And there's still a couple of them in boxes, but most of them we've actually built together.
Mhm. And Serena, for you, how is it building Lego sets with your dad?
Fun.
What's fun about it?
Building.
The actual building part.
Can you tell us a story about building Legos with me?
Well,
Do you remember when we first built Star Wars Legos? When you were a little kid, like 4 years old?
we took it out of the box and opened the bag and read the instructions and built it.
Who does most of the building? Are you the one actually holding the pieces, building them together, or is it your dad that puts the pieces together and you're finding the pieces? How does all that work?
He did most of the work.
He does most of it. Wow, James, that's a lot of Star Wars, a lot of Mandalorian action figures that we're looking at. But it's not just Mandalorian. It's vintage Star Wars too. Look at this, what's behind you now. Vintage Star Wars action figures. Let's talk about these.
Yes, I'd like to learn more about those myself. Tell us a little bit.
So what we're looking at right here is my collection of carded action figures. Starting off with this Luke Skywalker original 12-inch action figure. After I collected as a little kid, maybe from the ages of about 7 to 12 or 13, and then I kind of forgot about Star Wars and just put them away. But then when they started talking about coming out with the prequels and re-releasing the original trilogy, I became interested again. I wanted to collect more of these figures that I didn't have a chance to pick up when I was a kid. So I was in the Valley, went to a toy store, and they happened to have a substantial collection of Star Wars action figures. And I bought the whole thing. It was maybe a couple $100, and I ended up getting a lot of these, carded action figures. Figures still in the box. Some old puzzles from 1977. This is a 12-inch Luke Skywalker from 1977. It's still in the box. It's been taken out, but it's complete. And then you have these action figures. Some of the figures that I wasn't able to collect that I didn't quite pick up towards the tail end of when I was collecting as a kid were the Power of the Force figures, and I was always fascinated by this R2-D2 with a pop-up lightsaber, and this is definitely one of my favorites. It was really cool. At that point, I wasn't actually playing with them; I was more collecting them, so I kept them in the box. And this is probably my prized possession among these. You also have a 21-back Ben Kenobi, which is in excellent condition. A C3PO, that's the removable limbs, which is if you ever open this figure and start playing with it, it falls apart pretty easily. It's hard to keep it together. So it's nice to have one that's in perfect condition. Snow Trooper, Storm Trooper, Biker Scout, and a Tri logo. I had never actually seen Tri logos until I picked up a couple of them in this collection. So that was neat and different. I'm not sure I really consider them real Star Wars figures because it's not what I recognized when I was a kid, but it was neat to discover something new. And Snipe Noodles of the Rebo band. This is also, I believe, like a tri-logo set because it has the French here.
Wow.
And probably something that was sold in Canada, I'm thinking.
Sure.
And then you have some of these other, Return of the Jedi figures, not as popular, but these here are definitely some of my favorite action figures, from my collection, and just from all time. I really like these original, story action figures.
Well, what was it, James, about Star Wars in particular? What was your inspiration? Why did you decide, hey, it's Star Wars figures I want to collect?
So, when I was a kid growing up, I didn't really know about Star Wars when the first film came out. I was probably about 3 years old. And then growing up as kids, we'd spend our summers with my grand aunt and uncle, my Uncle Gus and Tia Rosalia, in Venice. They had
Venice, California.
Venice, California, yes. And
Just down the road from Hollywood.
yes. And they had 3 daughters. They were aged about 18, 20, 22, Amada, Rosemary, and Beatrice, and spending time in Venice, it was amazing. They would take us to the beach, they would take us to the pier. We'd have
Muscle
a lot of
Beach.
fun out there. Yeah, Venice Beach, Maria del Rey. So we definitely got us out of our environment in the valley. It was like summer camp for my brother and I. And then, being in that environment, we would also play with the neighborhood kids. And these neighborhood kids, one of them in particular was really into Star Wars, and he had a very substantial collection. And so that's where I first really knew about it or found out about it and started becoming very interested in it. I didn't actually own anything at that point. That was probably around 1981. And my birthday is at the end of the summer, August 27. So they had a birthday party for me. It was towards the end of the summer. It was kind of like our last few days we were spending there before we went back home. And they threw a birthday party for me. And they got me a lot of Star Wars pieces. They got me the Millennium Falcon. They got me the Twin Pod Cloud Car.
Wow.
And then also the Bespin, Empire Strikes Bespin set from Sears, because Amanda actually worked at Sears. so she got me that set, and that came with 4 action figures. One of them was Han Solo and Bespin outfit, an Ugnaught, a Lobot, and I'm forgetting the other one.
Maybe a Lando Calrissian?
It was somebody else. So we'd have to look it up. And so that was the beginning of my Star Wars collection, and it was just amazing for me. I remember that as one of the best birthday parties I've ever had in my whole entire life.
Wow.
It was just so inspiring, and all those gifts were just exactly what I wanted and loved, and actually way more, because my parents never bought me toys like that. So it was amazing to get these.
Do you remember which birthday that was? How old were
I
you?
believe it was my 7th birthday, which was in
7th birthday.
1981.
Wow.
Just after the release of Empire Strikes Back.
Uh-huh.
So that's why a lot of these spaceships were Empire Strikes Back spaceships, right? The Twin Pod Cloud Car, the Bespin City, and that really got me going with Star Wars action figures. And of course, whenever we go to the store, like to Gemco in the Valley or Fedco, or even Mervin's, they would have these Star Wars action figures, and I always wanted to buy some. My parents really never bought me any, unless my dad would tell me, hey, if you get good grades, and we'll buy you one Star Wars action figure. So I always did pretty well in school. I'd get good grades, and they'd be like, hey, Dad, you gotta buy me a Star Wars action figure. I'd be like, all right. So that's how I started building the collection, and then of course other people find out that you're interested in Star Wars, so they might give me a birthday gift that was a Star Wars action figure. My mom, at some point bought me a collector case, actually the Darth Vader collector case, and some Star Wars action figures. So I just started building slowly from there.
And you've got a collection case right there.
Yeah, this is the Darth Vader collector's case. This is my original collector's case, and it has a lot of my original action figures that I had as a kid. So they're all wrapped up in little plastic bags. I got that idea from Jack, actually, because he used these to wrap up his action figures. And I thought, wow, what a great way to preserve them.
And by the way, the two of you have known each other for years now, yes?
Yeah.
Over 25 years, I think I've known you.
Yeah.
Wow. Which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this has a lot of my original action figures. I still have some of the sticker cards with the names. You could peel the sticker and put, label the slot where you can put that particular action figure. It still has the original insert. Got torn on a corner at some point, so put it together. So at this time, around 1981, I believe this was the entire collection. I think there was about 41 action figures at that time. And then, of course, you have all the action figures. They even had this little special pocket here where you could put the accessories, which I would keep them in there. But at some point, when I put them away, I put the accessories with the action figures inside the little bags.
So James, what is your motivation for collecting? I mean, you did mention you started out as a result of birthday gifts, but as time has gone on, has this now become an investment? Is it for looks? Is it for enjoyment to share with your daughter?
It's really more enjoyment. Growing up as a kid, I played with them, so I like having the loose action figures. And when I say I want to complete my collection of action figures, it's really the loose action figures that I want to be able to hold in my hand and, maybe not necessarily play with them the way I would as a kid, but, just to feel them and to have them in my hand outside of the box. That's the feeling I'm really going for in my collection. I think later on, around the time when I was in college, towards the tail end of college, it reignited my interest because they were producing the prequels and re-releasing the original trilogy. So I did start buying some more action figures at that time. At that time, I did think, well, maybe it could be an investment. But again, it was more about the enjoyment, about having those figures that I always wanted to have, but never, quite could afford as a little kid. So, buying this collection of mostly carded in the box figures, was amazing. It's funny because I actually had bought another box of these figures, but at some point I had a friend visiting me, a friend from college visiting me, and I needed money to go out and do things and go to places like Magic Mountain. So I ended up selling a lot of a box full of this stuff. Couple carded figures in there for not very much, maybe like $100, $150. Right now one of those figures would be worth more than that. So it was nice to kind of get back into it, and it was really just that one collection from that toy store that I had bought at that time. And then also while in college, I started buying action figures. Back then, you didn't really have eBay or Amazon, so you kind of had to go on these forums, and people would send out emails in these forums or post on these forums, and they would have a list of action figures that they had for sale, and you could make bids and or make a deal with them and buy some. So I did end up buying another set of action figures. Some of those action figures are inside this case. This is the case I bought later on. I always thought Bausch Bounty Hunter was really cool because it had a cool helmet to hide Princess Leia, and of course I got the other Princess Leia as a Bespin outfit, the original Star Wars outfit. This is actually one of the Power of the Force figures, Luke Skywalker in the Endor outfit or poncho. and Luke Skywalker from Empire Strikes Back, Gamorrean Guard. This is an R2-D2. This is one of the original ones without the center scope. One of the original C-3POs. Anakin was actually a figure that I mailed away proof of purchases to get this one for free. And we got some Han Solos here. This is actually a small head Han Solo. I have a big head Han Solo. So I wanted to pick up one of the small head Han Solos. Got an Ewok there. And then some of the other figures, the Rebel Commando, some of the Ewoks, Luke Skywalker, Snaggletooth, Bib Fortuna. I always really liked Lando Calrissian. I thought that helmet was really cool to hide his face. 2-1B medical droid, Death Star droid, Greedo. Like as I said, a lot of these figures were figures actually picked up later, around college. So, which was still about 25 years ago. So it's been a while. And looks like I have something here that I haven't even seen. Oh no, actually I have seen it. This is something I did recently. I've printed out a color back of the entire collection, and I'm using this to guide me now to figure out which action figures I have and which ones I still need to pick up. So maybe at some point when I have more time and money, I'll have a chance to pick them up. Maybe Jack will sell me some of his loose action figures. He has a pretty extensive collection and could definitely fill in some of the gaps for me.
Who are the two pilots that shot shots to blow up two different Death Stars? Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian. Did you get the correct answer? Either way, we hope you enjoyed testing your knowledge of all things Star Wars and had fun along the way.
Hello, my name's Jim Stein and I operate Aquarium Design, and I offer aquarium sales, installation, supplies, livestock, and aquarium maintenance in Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village, Agora Hills, Calabasas, and Malibu, California. I specialize in custom aquariums ranging from freshwater, saltwater fish, living coral reef, and jellyfish display systems. I've been involved professionally and at many levels within the aquarium industry since 1987, and have been in business for myself since 1999. I've worked for many people, and some for over 20 years now. My team can provide you with a unique range of aquarium systems ranging from rectangular in-wall to freestanding cylinders, bow fronts, and custom curved shapes. Additionally, we can offer a variety of aquascapes such as an artificial coral insert, coral skeleton decorations, custom-made branching rock structures, and themed environments such as this Jules Verne version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. With today's technology in energy-efficient DC water pumps and LED lighting, operating costs are much lower. We can automate many of the maintenance features such as water replenishment, water changes, lighting schedule, including moonlight lighting, and even your general daily feedings. I can even install an app on your smartphone that will allow you to monitor, to be notified, to control, and view your aquarium anywhere in the world. If you're looking for something truly unique, give me a call and let's discuss the possibilities of creating your aquatic dream. I'm knowledgeable, insured, and very reliable. My name is Jim Stein, and you can reach me at 805-241-7140. I look forward to helping you achieve your aquatic dream.
I just want to thank everybody for coming on this journey with me through the naturescape we're creating together. The way you paint a tree is you put paint on your brush and you put that brush on the canvas. How do you know when you're finished? Who's that? Can't mess it up. Trees in the stream a little. Oh boy, I'm dripping. When did I get it on the cabin? Hold on. Okay, we can fix this, folks. There's nothing that you can do that you can't undo later. Tornado. Can't mess it up. Who's that? I didn't like that tree anyway. I went to the Louvre once, dab it, smack it, and some of it looked just like this. Am I still in the frame? Art, I think that says something. You know, that could be something. There's nothing that you can do that you can't undo later. Art, the French invented it. Americans perfected it. When I have a masterpiece, not unlike this one, I take it to Collector Alliance. What'd you say? Collector Alliance lets me sell all my paintings, all my toys, all my collectibles with no transaction fees. I want you to smell that paint. For one low monthly subscription, I can sell as much as I want, including gems like this. So check out Collector Alliance today. Hey, who was that?
I want to say just recently, in the last year or two, all this stuff was actually my parents' garage. And I had told Jack about it. And I told him, hey, I'm ready to go get my Star Wars collection from my parents' garage.
You mentioned that the other night.
And I called him over, and he's like, yeah, I'm happy to help you rummage through that stuff to get it, And he was maybe a little skeptical at first, but then when I pulled out this R2D2, he was like, okay, I'm there. So he showed up, and we went through this extremely dusty and dirty garage, rummaging through these boxes looking for my old Star Wars collection, and I was able to locate most of it. There were just a few pieces, that I wasn't able to find that got lost, at some point, including some of the original comic books. I think I have like the first 2 or 3 comic books, the Star Wars
Original ones.
The original ones, yeah. It wasn't the one. There's 2 versions of the Star Wars comic book. There's the first printing, I think, and then the second printing. I think I have the second printing because that first printing is extremely rare and expensive. I did, get a few of those. I would have liked to have bought the whole collection, but I think I only had enough money to buy the first few of them. They sold those to me. And so some of those things got lost. I had a really cool Return of the Jedi book, actually Revenge of the Jedi book. I had a few things that said Revenge of the Jedi, so those marketing pieces, this one magazine that was about the making of the film before the film actually came out, disappeared. So a few things got lost in the shuffle, but I was able to keep most of them and salvage most of them, especially of course the most prized possessions, and also a lot of my original action figures. There's maybe a few action figures that I had somewhere else that I, kind of lost, like the Admiral Akbar that I had mailed away for, the Emperor I had mailed away for, and maybe a Lando Calrissian General outfit, Power of the Force. So who knows? Maybe they'll turn up someday or not. It's all good. I've got the bulk of it here.
So my next question is graded, but before you answer that, let me preface it by Jack has indicated to me that you have some Star Wars porn up there, stuff that is really relished by people. So does grading come into your collection? Anything that you have graded, and what are your thoughts on pursuing graded figures?
I would love to get some of my items graded, not my original action figures that I played with as a kid, not the loose figures, just because I want to be able to take those out and feel them and maybe play with them, if you will. But for the box action figures, which I'm not going to ever open really, I probably want to get those graded and see what the quality is, what grade they get, and it's a nice display case. So I think I'd be up for doing that with these figures that are still in the box. I think that'd be fun to have them.
And so most of what we see is still in the box or in the card. So my next question is, what is the importance of the items that you're collecting? Does it need to still be in its original packaging, or are you buying loose figures?
Well, to complete my collection, I definitely want to get the loose figures. I'm not really too interested or want to pay a premium for graded loose figures. You know, I want to be able to take them out and play with them and look at their weapons. So that's not too interesting for me. I don't think I would necessarily want to buy graded figures or even carded graded figures. Unless, of course, you know, I hit the lottery, in which case I would want to complete my collection of carded in the box figures. It'll be a small fortune to invest. Right now I have about 10% of the entire collection of action figures up here. So I thought, you know, that'd be pretty neat. But, you know, for the more immediate future, it'd be nice to just get complete my collection of loose action figures with their weapons.
So you had mentioned you were, what, 7 years old back in 1981. So you've been collecting for, what, 40 years now?
Yeah, a little over 40 years I've been collecting, yeah.
And your displays, we've got stuff on the mantle. We've seen a few little setups here and there. Mm-hmm. You showed us a closet where a lot of stuff is still in the boxes. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts in regards to displaying them and the space that you have that you're putting them in?
You know, I definitely would like to display them. I don't know if I have the space to display them all. I really enjoy just having them in the original cases and being able to open it and not have to, you know, fuss too much about putting them back in the display. So I really enjoy having them that way. And if anything, the ones that I have carded on display are just the much newer pieces, you know, that I've picked up, like some of the Mandalorian items that are still in the box. So, you know, if I'm buying newer things, then I usually keep it in the box, and it's just fun to display that and look at that. But for my old stuff, I love just, you know, picking it up, opening it up, and looking at it. I feel that every single time I open up one of these cases, I'm discovering it, like, you know, for the first time. And it's like, I feel like a little kid. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna play with my Star Wars toys today and just look at them. And it's a lot of fun for me to be surprised, you know, every time. And it's, you know, especially when I don't look at them for a little while, it's neat to just kind of rediscover them, you know, every time I opened up my cases and see those figures again.
So we're not displaying stuff, so we'll skip past
my secret storage room where I have all my Star Wars collection and Lego collection. I have a lot of cool Lego pieces. Some of the Legos that they come out with are something like this. So you have a Tatooine. You know, this is probably the biggest Tatooine set that they have with the bar, cantina.
So you've talked about collecting the different action figures over the years, and even told us a few places back in the day before eBay and some of the online stores, Amazon, were out there that you had to go into these forums. When you're currently buying action figures, where do you tend to find them? Do you find them online, or do you just go to toy stores? Do you go to like any of these like Goodwill or garage sales, secondhand type stores?
So lately I really haven't actively been looking for action figures. The pieces I've picked up are just things we might see in the store that look interesting, or now that my daughter's interested in it, you know, we're a little bit more apt to actually seek out some of these toys. So I definitely wanted to go to a convention. And I want to say several months ago, went with Jack to a monthly Star Wars get together. Well, it's actually not even a Star Wars get together. It's a monthly toy fair that they have. You know, a little further in northeastern part of LA. So it was nice to go there and see what they had. I think I did pick up a Star Wars toy, which was actually released around the time of the prequel, and it was one of these toys that had got lost in the shuffle at my parents' home that I couldn't find, and then they had it brand new in the box. At this place, and I was like, hey, let's get that. You know, that's a piece that's missing that I had lost, and now I found it again, and I have it, and it's in the box. So that was nice. And then since my daughter is also interested in it, and other you know, things that have brought us together, like The Simpsons, we also picked up some Simpsons toys that were, you know, vintage in the box. So it was fun to just have those and put them in her toy display in her room. So that's, you know, that's pretty much the extent of it right now. I haven't been actively seeking out the action figures that I need to complete my collection yet. I was hoping that I could work something out with Jack, but it seems like he's going to be grading all his figures, so they might be out of reach for me at this point. But yeah, I would love to go to one of these like Star Wars conventions where you can see other people and other people's collections, and they might have some of these pieces for sale.
And just the camaraderie of everybody there.
Yeah, to be able to share in that and always like discover new things that I never knew existed, and maybe be able to pick up some of these loose vintage action figures that way. So I think that would be fun, and it's something that we could do with my daughter.
You were originally the collector, but your daughter is now part of the collection.
Yes, yeah, she is. That's what really makes it fun for me, for her to have discovered Star Wars. Her growing up, she never really liked it. I think because her mother didn't really like it, so she would kind of poo-poo Star Wars. But then once Mandalorian came around and she saw the episodes and saw Baby Yoda, she just fell in love with Baby Yoda, and that caused her to become interested in the Star Wars universe. So we actually sat down and we saw the original trilogy, and then we saw the prequels, and then we saw the last 3 episodes. And she's very media literate, so she really understood what was going on and understood a lot of the characters. So I feel that she even has more knowledge about the prequel characters, or even the last 3 episode characters, because I don't really pay too much attention to those. So she'll correct me on some of those characters and tell me, hey, Dad, that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so, because I'm really so just focused on those original trilogies. Having said that, she does recognize that the original trilogy are the best films, and that the best one is probably Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars. So I like that she can, recognize that and see that, the quality of those films, and how that really, is able to capture, kids' imaginations at that time.
Would you say that you're under control, or is this still obsessive? Are you budgeted? Are you still buying stuff?
As of late, it's under control with respect to the original trilogy toys. I think what's a little out of control might be the Lego Star Wars pieces. I really enjoy seeing those come out and be released, and I really enjoy buying them as they come out. So those are a little fun, and they don't come out with too many, so it's pretty manageable over the course of the year to pick up those pieces. They're not too extravagantly priced, except that they do come out with some very, very big pieces, like a Millennium Falcon that's extremely large. I don't even have space to I could build it, but I don't know where I'd put it because it's so big. And they came out with a new AT-AT. Those usually go for about $800 to $850 for those larger pieces. So I don't quite have the AT-AT yet, but it's something I'm working towards. But the smaller ones, they're a lot easier to just pick up, because they're usually between the $50 to $100 range.
So aside from what you're showing us today, who sees your collection?
When I have friends over, and if I know that they're slightly interested in Star Wars, then maybe I'll take them to the back room, the secret location, and I'll show them some of these pieces. And it's really, really fun to see their just eyes open up, because especially friends around my age, they grew up with that, and they maybe had some of those toys, and maybe they don't have them anymore, but seeing them in my collection, it takes them back. They're like, hey, I had that when I was a kid. I love this toy. And they have a story about how they got that toy. And so it's really neat to see and hear my friends' stories that having this collection evokes for them. And even one of my friends recently, he was over from New York City. He was actually working on a documentary out here in LA. He was here for about a week, and he stayed in the guest room for a few nights. and he was looking at my toys, and he had stories about them. But also his stepson, was into them, and his stepson got into it through the prequels. So he was like, wow, if I could bring my wife's son here to take a look at these, he would just, it'd blow his mind to see all these like original toys. So it's really neat to hear that there's generations of kids that are a lot younger than me, or probably adults now too, who also have an interest in that and have a perspective, a story of their own about how they got into collecting Star Wars.
And so, of all the things that you have, are there any particular favorite items that you really like?
In terms of favorite items, I would really have to say it's the original action figures that I had when I was a kid, and also my original spaceships. So Millennium Falcon, the Star Destroyer, which is not too common, the Twin Pod Cloud Car, the Slave One. I was always a big fan of the Slave One, and it came with that little frozen Han Solo in carbonite figure or piece. So I would say those are my favorite. Later on, as I was a bit older and towards the tail end of college, as I mentioned, there were also some Micro Machine Star Wars pieces that came out, and those didn't seem to sell too well in the store, so they would slash the price, half price. So I ended up picking up a lot of those too. So I have a lot of these Micro Machines in the box, and those are pretty neat. I can show you those too. But yeah, my favorite ones are definitely the figures and spaceships I had, when I was a kid, and they just really take me back.
I think I know the answer to this question, but is there a favorite movie or series?
So definitely my favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back. I mean, 1980, 1981, that's when I discovered Star Wars, playing with these kids in the neighborhood in Venice and in the summers, and getting those Empire Strikes Back series of action figures and spaceships, and looking at the film as an adult, I really think it's the best film of all. So yeah, that's my favorite for sure.
And do you have a favorite character?
So I always liked Han Solo, maybe because he was a bit of a rebel, kind of had like a little bit of an attitude, a leader. He hooked up with Princess Leia. I always had a crush on Princess Leia. I wish I was Han Solo. I even wish that maybe Harrison Ford was my dad or something. So yeah, definitely Han Solo. And of course, having a crush on Princess Leia. I mean, what kid that age didn't, fall in love with her? She's just so gorgeous, and she had feisty attitude, and just really, there was the masculine aspect of it, the superheroes of Han Solo, but then it had this gorgeous heroine, and so I'd say he was definitely my favorite character, and but I also had a crush on Carrie Fisher.
And I know that you talk about having a favorite character in the movies, characters from part of the story, but what about actually favorite action figure characters? Any favorites from the action figure side of things? So for action figures, I always loved it when they provided you an action figure that had a lot of accessories. So Yoda, he had a really cool cape, he had the snake, he had the cane, you could take off his cape, his robe. So I love that about that action figure. An action figure like Lando Calrissian, where he had his helmet, and you had the skiff guard, and then you take off his helmet, it's Lando Calrissian. I love that. Same thing with like Bausch, the bounty hunter. You take off the helmet, hey, it's Princess Leia, right? So I always love the action figures that had all these extra accessories and maybe like a disguise or a cape or something like that. Yeah, including Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Knight. He had the big cape, he had the blaster and a lightsaber.
You know, so that was one of my favorite figures for sure, as well as the Princess Leia in Endor outfit. She had a little belt, and she had the cape and the helmet. So I really liked those and had those extra accessories.
Wow, just an incredible journey with James and Serena here today, going through all their Star Wars action figures, their Star Wars Legos, all of their Star Wars collection. Really incredible stuff right here. I'll remind everyone, if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Help us spread the fun. Also leave a comment down below for James and Serena. If you have any questions or comments, James will check all of these. He'll answer any of your questions. He'll comment back to you. And go ahead and like this video as well. That's really important to us. Basically do all the little things that they ask you to do on YouTube. But for now, I'm Jack.
I'm Jim.
This is Jim. That's James. And may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.